Hello and welcome to my channel, Kay's Hot Mess Express. If you're new here, welcome. Let me know down in the comments so I could say hi to you. And if you are returning, thank you so much for coming back to another one of my videos. I'd love to hear from you as well if you'd like to leave a comment down below so I can talk to you as well. So if you're new to my channel, this channel is dedicated to decluttering my life in general. Most of it is just decluttering my house. I've done my kitchen and I've done parts of my basement. I'm currently getting ready for a consignment sale, so I have worked downstairs with all of the old toys that my boys don't play with anymore, and I've been working the last few weeks on the playroom. So this is part 2. I'll leave a link to part 1 down below if you want to see that as well. But I'm just going through all this stuff, tagging it for the consignment sale so I can sell it and earn some money, because I'm also trying to pay down debt. So those are the two things that I'm kind of talking about on this channel, primarily decluttering my house, but I will talk about debt here and there as well. So for this video, I'm going to start out with the second cabinet. Now I have a cabinet on each side of my fireplace. I already did the first cabinet in my first Playroom Declutter video. Now I'm doing the second one. Now I was convinced that I had a crock pot down here that belonged in the kitchen. If you watch the kitchen declutter, you probably heard me say it all the time. I was incorrect. There is no crock pot down here. It is a bunch of board games that I knew we had board games. I just didn't know where they were. So now I found it. Now I'm going through the board games because I think some of these the boys would play and some of them they wouldn't. They love Connect Four, so they'll be excited about that. I don't know why I forgot these were all down here, but they were. My grandma gave me a whole bunch of them because a lot of my family loves board games. I'm not a big fan, but Roman is, so he'll be thrilled. I'm going to move it to the other cabinet on the other side since that one's basically empty from me decluttering it. That way it's easier to get to, because I do have a cabinet that kind of is angled in front of this one. So this one is better to have for things we don't really need to get into that much. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just going through the games, trying to decide which ones we would play and which ones we would not. So while we watch me go through all of these games to figure out which ones I do or do not want to keep, I would love to hear from you what you are working on. You know, I appreciate everybody tuning in every week and watching me declutter, and I hope my video is inspirational to you. But I also like to hear what you guys are doing. I want to build this community around just hyping each other up, not just me, you know, but each other as well. So I'd love to hear if you're on a decluttering journey or if you've already gone through one. You know, anything you'd like to share, leave it down in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. So I didn't realize while I was recording that you couldn't see the two piles that I have going on with the games, but the vast majority of these I'm going to keep because Rome's never tried them before. So I figured, you know what, we'll keep them. And then, you know, if we do a game night or something, he could try them. If he likes them, great. If not, I could sell it on the next sale. So I guess it's not that big of a deal. Operation, he used to get so frustrated with Operation, but he's gotten a lot more patient nowadays. So we'll keep it and see if he wants to play it still. So we only have a few more games to go through, and then we do have a few boxes of puzzles. Roman's actually very good at puzzles. He loves to just build stuff in general, and puzzles is one of them. I've gotten him a couple different puzzles to try out. His attention span's a little limited with his ADHD, so it gets a little hard. And when he does puzzles, he does it at the kitchen table, and Declan, in typical little brother fashion, likes to bug him. So I'm not even sure if all the puzzle pieces are there, because Declan will try to take them and hide them from his brother. So I'll have to double check. And then this little thing, I just took some yarn and some clothespins, and I had this hanging in the dining room. It's for all of the boys' like when they paint or color and stuff like that, they would hang it on those. And oh, look, there's a picture of Roman at Monster Jam. That was 4 years ago. He looks so itty bitty. But anyways, back to the clothespins thing. I'm going to hang that up in the playroom. So they do all of their crafts at the table, but I'll have them hang it in the playroom since that has more space than the dining room. I also found kind of a rogue puzzle in this bin. I'm not sure if it goes to one of the boxes or where it goes. I was trying to like compare the pieces that I would see to the boxes and see if they like matched anything, and they didn't. So I have no idea where this puzzle belongs. So I'm going to kind of hold on to it. I don't even know if we have all the pieces because it's ripped open, so it's hard to tell. And now I'm finding the information and the keyboard that goes to Roman's old communication device, which is kind of happy but sad at the same time because it reminds me Roman has grown up so much. So Roman was diagnosed with childhood apraxia of speech when he was, I want to say 3.5 years old. He had been in speech since he was 18 months old. And he wasn't making a whole lot of progress until we realized that it wasn't so much that he couldn't talk, it's that there was a disconnect. So with childhood apraxia speech, he knows what he wants to say, but there is some sort of disconnect between his brain and his mouth. So the mouth does not make the shape or the sounds or anything that it's supposed to for the word he's wanting to say. So I don't know. I think you guys may have heard him talk a couple times. But so when he's talking, he has to slow way down, and it sounds almost robotic or choppy because he's trying to have his brain and his mouth catch up. So luckily, we are at a point where he doesn't need this communication device, which is baffling because when he was in kindergarten, he still needed it because you still couldn't understand him. Now, luckily, we were super blessed because he had a preschool teacher for 2 years, and then she moved on to kindergarten when he did. So that made the transition to kindergarten a little bit better. Granted, he still needed a communication device because of his peers, but luckily, his teacher could kind of figure out what he needed. But going from in kindergarten, not being able to understand him, to 3rd grade, to where he doesn't need it at all. And basically speech is just to keep that practice and repetition of training his mouth and his brain to work together is essentially what his speech is for right now. So we are very blessed to not need it. We're going to keep a hold of it because Declan might need it. Granted, they tried a communication device at school for him, and he just wanted to push the buttons because he thought it was funny. So his speech isn't as bad as Roman's was, but we're going to hold on to it just in case. So now I'm trying to figure out where these dark brown they're not cabinets, the shelves go to, because I can't figure it out. I'm trying to think of what we have that's this color or brown. It may have gone to something that we used to have, and we don't have it anymore, maybe. That's the only thing I can think of. I'm going to hold on to them for now, just in case. Maybe David knows, because David's not home this particular day. So I'm going to kind of put this CenturyLink box for our internet for the modem. I'm going to put that in here as well, since this is a cabinet that's not going to be used very much. And then I'm going to go grab some wipes and at least wipe down the shelf and the shelves, the brown shelves, and then the shelf in the cabinet. Now I can tell this shelf is crooked. Maybe you guys can see it too. But when I look at the pegs, they're all in the right spot, but this does not look straight to me. It's driving me absolutely crazy. So I was trying to show you what the shelf looked like. It actually wasn't all that bad. And I'm going to go ahead and wipe down these shelves as well. And like I said, I'm going to hold on to them. Maybe David knows if I remember to ask him. That's the big if I remember to ask him. Maybe he knows what they're from. And if he knows it's from something that we don't have anymore, I'll toss it out. So now that that cabinet is cleaned out, I'm going to move the games that I have decided that we're going to keep into the cabinet that I had decluttered last week. I had taken everything out of that cabinet that was like crafty, things of that nature, and put it in the cabinet in the dining room where the kids are supposed to use it. Now I'm going to put our board games in this one. That way they're easily accessible. Now, I was trying to carry a bunch of them and the bottom fell out of the Connect 4. So I'm like, well, that was nice. So I had to stop for a second and pick up all the pieces of the Connect 4, which honestly, out of all the games to drop, that's probably the easiest one to find all the pieces to versus, you know, like Life or, you know, something that has little teeny tiny pieces. So I guess I should be grateful for that it was the Connect 4. So I'm just working on putting the games in here now. So you could probably see these clear totes with, there's like a white lid and a light blue lid sitting inside them. I'm going to be using those totes for the blocks that are in this tote on the right. There's some foam blocks that Declan never uses. I'm going to be selling those. I'm also going to be selling some Duplo blocks and things of that nature. So you'll see me kind of dump stuff from one tote into one of these clear totes. That's because I'm going to sell it on the consignment sale. So it looks actually a little bit messier than it did last week. And it's not because my kids did it, it's because I did it, because I was trying to find everything. Now, when you guys watch this, that will be probably a week after this was actually filmed, because I had to get everything done so quickly. I had to drop everything off for the consignment sale on March, what was it, 5th, I believe? Yes. So I had to essentially film 2 videos in 1 week to get everything taken care of in time. Now, luckily, everything for the games and puzzles will fit in this cabinet. I realized I still had that rogue puzzle to figure out what the heck to do with, and I happened to see a plastic baggie on the floor. I'm like, beautiful. I'll put it in here for now. So that way it's at least confined and it won't spill everywhere. And, you know, I could just keep it in the cabinet for now until I have time to actually go through it. So I'll go ahead and throw it in there, and I'm going to lock this baby up. Now, fingers crossed, Declan does not get into it. We'll have to see. He knows how to undo these. So I'm like, hopefully he doesn't, because he'll get the games out and pieces out and it'll be a mess. So now these are the games that I'm not going to keep. I need to go through them first before I put them on the sale to make sure we have all the pieces. So I'm going to move them to the table for now. I will work on that not on camera. I'm not going to record it because that'll just take too long. So now I'm just picking up the rest of the stuff. The boys have an axe throwing bullseye somewhere. I found the axes, but I can't find the bullseye. It must be in one of the boys' rooms, but we don't need the box for it. I'm kind of getting everything ready to put in these totes. So like these foam blocks that Declan could care less about, I'm going to sell them in this tote because it's see-through. And it just will get them out of the way. And I have so many totes. I probably have 20 clear totes that have nothing going for them. There's nothing in them. So I was like, you know what? I can, kill 2 birds with 1 stone, as they say. Get rid of the totes by putting them on the consignment sale. So, it's a win-win. So that's what I'm kind of working on right now. Now, this navy blue tote has Duplo blocks. Declan doesn't really care about Duplo blocks except for the train pieces. He doesn't like to build onto the trains, but he wants the train pieces. So I'm going to keep those. I'm going to put the Duplo blocks out in the hallway area with the foam blocks for now. That way I'm not spending more time just, going through those. I do also like to clean them off. So that would just be way too time consuming to put on camera. So I'm like, I'm not gonna put them in the clear tote yet. I was okay with the foam blocks because the foam blocks are basically brand new. Declan got them for Christmas. I got them for him because he plays with foam blocks all the time at therapy, but he could care less about them here. So I was like, I want to worry about that. We also have these Zoob pieces. My grandma gave them to me. The boys didn't really seem interested in them. So I'm like, okay, well, we'll get rid of those as well. I, again, want to clean those off too to make sure they're not like gross or anything. So that's why I'm just kind of throwing them in the walkway for now. Taking those big totes out really kind of free up the space in here. It seems a lot bigger. So now we're going to move on to Roman's Monster Jam bag that he got at Monster Jam. We have a bunch of chalk in there. I found an old pencil box that has a bunch of his pencil stuff that he's going to want to keep. Just things that don't belong in the playroom are in this bag for whatever reason. So I'm going to kind of empty it out into the trash, everything that is trash, I should say. We'll hold on to the Monster Jam bag and the chalk, but that's going to go downstairs since chalk is an outdoor toy. And then I'm going to go put the pencil box with the rest of the craziness of the craft area. So now we're moving on to the odds and ends of things that have been sitting on my fireplace a lot longer than I care to admit. It's a little ridiculous. That chalkboard we've had forever. It just keeps floating around the house. I'm like, you know what? Obviously, we're not using it for it to float around, so I'm going to throw it away. I'm going to go put the foam Windex away. That's from last week's video. And now I'm going to go through this tote. Now, initially, I couldn't get the lid on, so I was trying to look and see if there was anything important in there. And, of course, I found Roman's take-home folder. It's been missing for like a month. So I was actually kind of excited because Roman keeps asking me where it went. I'm like, I don't know. Do you? So I'll throw away all the old stuff that's in there because we didn't need it, obviously. Otherwise, you know, we would have known by now. So I'll put his take-home folder to the side for now. And then the rest of this paperwork, I'm so glad I found because I'm trying to start my gathering of the paperwork for Declan's reevaluation. Dec is, if you're new here, my youngest is autistic. And because of his level of care, he qualifies for state benefits like respite, even though there's a long wait list and I still haven't gotten any respite. But anywho, it's the thought that counts, I guess. And then he qualifies for Medicaid, even though his dad and I make too much because of his level of disability, he qualifies for those things. And so we have a reevaluation coming up in June. And if you are disabled or if you have a family member or a disabled child, I'm sure you can imagine dealing with the state and all of that, you know, with waivers and home-based services, things of that nature. You know how time-consuming and how much paperwork you need. So unfortunately, right now, all the paperwork that I'm going to need is probably scattered throughout the house. So I'm hoping by the time June comes, when his renewal is up, I will have everything consolidated into one spot. So yeah, I went and put that paperwork in our room for now because I do have a pile started already because I know it's coming. So yeah, that's my spiel about all that paperwork. And now we're going to just keep continuing on picking up all these little things that are kind of on the ground. Declan's obsessed with Break the Ice. I don't know if he's lost all the pieces. I hope they're all there. I didn't try it. But he plays Break the Ice at therapy all the time, so he keeps getting ours out. So fingers crossed it's all still there. So this came from my aunt, and my aunt was homeschooling for a while. So she has sight words on each of the blocks, which I actually thought was a good idea, even for just like practicing playing a game like that. And like whenever my cousin would hit that, he would say the word that's on the block, if that makes sense. So, yeah, that's pretty neat. I was going to try to do that with Declan. And then I found these wipe away. I can't remember if that's the kindergarten or first grade one. I want to try him with Declan. He doesn't really get stuff like that, but maybe here in a few months, he will make enough progress to where I could sit down with him and work on his stuff to get him ready for kindergarten. So I'm picking up these last few pieces of trash, and now I'm staring at this dinosaur. I can't remember what it's called. Roman's obsessed with the thing if I get ready to get rid of it, but he does not play with it any other time. So I set it out there because I was going to put it on the consignment sale, but Roman saw it before I got a chance to. So I made a deal with him that if he plays with it, he can keep it. But if it's still sitting where I put it at the end of this, and when fall sale comes around, I'm getting rid of it because he's oddly attached to it without ever caring about it any other time. So I am putting some of the Duplo blocks into one of the totes that go into the IKEA organizer, because I am keeping half of the Duplo blocks we have, and then I'm going to sell the other half. I'm hoping Declan will eventually play with them. I'm wondering if part of the reason why he doesn't play with the toys is because there's so much in here. It's overwhelming. So if we get rid of the stuff that they don't play with, and I keep the things I do think he will play with, maybe he won't be as intimidated, if that makes sense. And he just might not be there development-wise to play with them yet, but I do think that he will in the future. He does build like marble runs, and he can do some pretty complex marble runs. So I do think he will eventually use a Duplo blocks. Now we're going to work on clearing off the top of the cabinet that I had organized earlier in the video. So we just got a couple things on here. The, Monster Jam thing that had Roman's picture, a Candyland game that I think I'm just going to get rid of. Some random tools and things of that nature. So I'm just taking them to the places that they need to be, like the tools I'm just going to put in with the rest of the stuff that needs to go down the basement. That little ball was to a little toy that we had like 3 years ago, so I'm going to throw that away. Gravity Maze, Declan loves this thing. He could put it together all by himself and create his own little thing. So we'll hold on to that. And then some old instructions. You'll see that cover to the switches and the plugins that I wish would go in this correct spot, but it does not because the box is crooked. I'll put Roman's puzzle in his room, since that's clearly his. And then this case is the actual communication device that I was talking about before. So that's going to go down below with the rest of the stuff for it. And then you'll probably see this little rocket. Now, I was going to sell it, but then when I opened it, I discovered that we were missing pieces to it. Roman was trying really hard to make it work after he realized that I was going to throw it away, because that's what he does, and it did not work out. So all those pieces are just going to be thrown away pretty much. I am going to put the lock back on this cabinet, even though there's not really much in there, and I have another cabinet blocking it. I'm just going to put it on there just because that's where it was before. And then, of course, put the Kleenexes somewhere where they will actually be used. And now I'm going to get some of the Lysol wipes that I have. A lot of people are curious why I use Lysol wipes. It's because I have an abundance of them from couponing. So that's why I use them to clean off almost all of the surfaces that I can, really. So yeah, we're going to give this a good wipe down. It actually wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, but it looks a lot better. Okay, friends, so this is probably 5-6 days after I did the last recording. I had to already take things in for the consignment sale. So yeah, none of the rest of the stuff got tagged for a consignment sale. Those foam blocks were supposed to go with the foam blocks, and unfortunately it just didn't make it there. We had to drop off the consignment sale stuff, and then we left for the weekend. So I just, there just wasn't enough time, but that's okay. I kind of skimmed through the rest of the stuff on the other side of the playroom, and it is stuff the boys play with. They have the nuggets out. I think the nuggets make it look a lot more cluttered than it usually is if they're folded up. The boys are constantly using these nuggets. So David had to take the covers off of that one because Declan had an accident because we're potty training. And so we had to go wash it. So that's why it doesn't have a cover. So we're just going to finish picking up all of this stuff. Again, the nuggets I feel like make it look a lot worse than it really is. Now, I did not do a good job of angling my phone. I thought that you could see like the whole room, but you could not. So you're going to see me kind of disappearing to the right side a lot because that's where the IKEA organizers are. So I apologize for that. Now, even though I didn't get to the other side of the playroom, like I could have probably gotten rid of half of those train tracks that Deck has because he doesn't use them all. I still feel like there is just a lot more open space in general, so it does feel a lot better. It's just consignment sales are so time consuming. I want to say I spent probably 6 to 8 hours total throughout the last few weeks of tagging. Now, I did add up everything that I tagged, and I have about $1,000 worth of stuff tagged. To me, that's a pretty good amount. Now, the downside is for consignment sales, you only get 70% of that. However, if you volunteer, you get 75%. So I was able to talk to the lady that runs the consignment sale because the hours that they have listed on the website, all of them overlap appointments, therapy, school, things of that nature. So I was like, hey, can I do like 2 hours at a time so I can hit that threshold to get 75%? Because, volunteers get 75%. And she's like, yeah, that's fine. So let's say everything sells at the full amount that I tagged. I will get $750. Now, that's not logical. A lot of times that doesn't happen. What I like about this sale is I want to say the first 6 or 7 days are full price. Then it goes down to 50%. It's like 2 half price days. Now, with this sale, they take everything that's left over onto the next sale. I think it goes from Omaha to Des Moines to Cedar Rapids to Lincoln, or maybe it goes from Omaha to Lincoln. But anyways, Omaha's the first sale. So let's say it gets taken onto Lincoln, Des Moines, or Cedar Rapids. I still have the opportunity to make money off of it. I think it's only like 65% or something, but it's better than nothing in my mind. So fingers crossed we make a decent amount. I'm hoping to get at least $500 or $600. That would pay off my lower credit cards that I have if I don't have it paid off by then. I think I will, fingers crossed, but we'll have to see. It'll at least take a good chunk out of my credit card debt. And of course, once I actually get the check in the mail, letting me know how much I made, I'll share with you guys because you guys have been along for the ride. I want to say the last 3 videos, maybe, we've been talking about this consignment sale. Now, the sale ends on the 21st. I believe, if I remember correctly from past sales, it takes about a week to get the check. So we're looking at end of March is when I should find out how much I made. Now, the downside to this consignment sale is it doesn't list out each item and how much it sold for. It just gives categories. I wish it would tell me what sold at full price, what sold at half price. So maybe I can get a better idea for next sale on, pricing wise. Usually I do pretty good with pricing. When I drop off, I kind of look at other people's prices for similar items. I'm almost always lower than everybody else's. So I also like to kind of check and see, I'll go to the sale periodically. I'm aiming towards not buying anything at the sale because I already have Roman stocked up for the next size up for clothes. They don't need any toys. I just got rid of a bunch. And the deck, of course, wears Roman's old clothes. So, there's no need to buy anything. So I'll just go periodically. But since I'm volunteering this time, this will be the first time I'm volunteering, I'll be able to kind of check while I'm there, depending on what they have me doing. So I'll definitely let you guys know how it all goes. So I'm trying to put together this truck. The pieces were scattered kind of everywhere. Declan loves this truck. He loves to take it apart. It came with a drill and a screwdriver, I think. So you could take all the screws out and the truck comes apart in pieces. And so Declan has done that, but he got frustrated putting it back together. So it's just scattered everywhere. So I'm trying to put it back together. I have 2 or 3 extra screws and I can't figure out where they go. So I'm like, well, I guess we'll just kind of put them in a drawer and I'll put the truck over with the rest of the trucks that he has, and we'll have to just see if he can figure it out because I am kind of lost. I'm trying to clear up the floor as much as possible because I want to move the Lego table from where it's at to the center of the room. That way I can move all the nuggets to the other side of the chair because the nuggets have been there for a while and it just makes it really hard to get between the playroom and the kitchen area. So that's kind of what my goal is just clear up space as much as I can because I can leave that mat, his little car mat there, and still have the table there and there'll be plenty of space. And then I'll be able to move the nuggets and things they will flow a lot better than they do right now. Now, Mr. T-Rex, that will most likely not be played with, is going to be sitting where the nuggets are supposed to go for now until I kind of figure out where I want to put him because, again, he's kind of bigger, so he won't fit in the drawers or anything. And yeah, so I've got to figure out where I'm going to put him. So I had mentioned in my basement declutter, I believe is where I was talking about it in. We had quite a few toys downstairs that were missing pieces. We had some Power Rangers. We had a Dino Ranch set up. And then we had some Monster Truck remote control cars. And I thought the missing pieces were in the playroom. They were not. They are not here. So the only other place I could think of that they could be, if we have them, is in Roman's room. Declan is very much of I'm going to be where mom and dad is, not in my room. He's so clingy to us and attached to us that all of his toys are out here. They're out in the playroom, in the living room, wherever he is at that time. So there's no actual toys really in his room. He's got his bed, his dresser, his, humidifier, fan, things of that nature, but that's it pretty much. There's not a whole lot of toys. Whereas Roman prefers to be in his room because when he's home, he's basically building Legos. Like, that's all he really wants to do is build Legos and make his own thing, which is hard to do out here with Declan. So that's why he is a bedroom kid. And he does not want to let go of anything. Even if it's something he doesn't play with, he will not let go of it. We've tried numerous times to declutter his room, and he's just holding on to everything for dear life. So I'm going to have to work with him a little bit more because in my mind, if he doesn't even use it, it shouldn't be in his room. And it also makes him really overwhelmed when it comes to cleaning his room because he has so much. And he already has ADHD and gets extremely overwhelmed by things. So it's definitely something we're going to have to work on with him because it's difficult at times. And I'm thinking the remote controls, at least, to the monster trucks are in there. I'll probably just throw away the Dino Ranch thing, and I don't think I'll keep any of the Power Rangers either. Although those pieces might actually be in Roman's room. But I am going to hold on to the monster truck remote control cars to see if we can find the remotes in Roman's room. Now, I do acknowledge that because he's grown up in a cluttered house, maybe in his mind that's just what's normal. But I will say, since I've started my decluttering journey, and especially the kitchen, because the kitchen's the one room that's completely done, and then the playroom will be after this video, he has noticed a big difference. Like, he'll say, wow, it looks so clean in here. So I'm hoping as I'm working on decluttering, he'll kind of see, okay, this looks really nice. And I'm hoping it'll transfer to him. That's the hope. I don't know. We're going to have to see how it goes. But he is noticing these things. So maybe when we try again with him, he'll be a little bit more open to it. So now I'm working on hanging up that piece of yarn and clips that I had in the dining room and here. So Roman can show off his little paints, painting creations that he likes to do. I didn't talk about it when I was going through the top part of that cabinet. There was a painted picture of a dog. That's his dog, Ebony, that he absolutely loved. She passed away. Oh gosh, it's been 2.5 years. He's still heartbroken. It is, and every night, because Eb used to sleep with him, and every night he'll come in my room and be like, I miss Ebony. I'm like, I'm sorry, dude. But anyways, he painted that literally right before she passed. So I'm going to hang that up here so he has his picture of her because it's really important to him. So I came in to spray the Lego table with some Dawn Power Wash because it was really dirty. And then I realized I never switched out the pieces because the blocks that would work in these little sections are the tiny blocks that Roman uses, and I wanted to switch it out for the 2 blow blocks for Declan. So I sprayed this thing for literally no reason. Luckily, David was home when the cover got dry so he could fight the nugget to put it back on. I can't, for whatever reason, I struggle with putting the cases back on these things. So I was like, oh, great, David's home. Please help. So we were able to get the case back on those 2 foam pieces, the nugget foam pieces. So I was able to stack everything and it's all nice and neat now. So you might be wondering why we have this random chair in here. So this is Declan's jumping chair. He used to have an indoor trampoline, but I don't think trampolines have enough resistance in them for him because he's so sensory seeking. So this is his designated jumping chair. We've just sacrificed it to Declan, really. It's the one piece of furniture he's allowed to jump on. He will jump off of it I try to get him to do it onto the nugget. Sometimes he tries to jump on to the floor and it doesn't work out. But he's very sensory seeking. He needs a lot of deep pressure. So that's why that's in here. He did have it in our living room because there is more space in our living room for him to lay out the nuggets. But the only place this chair would fit is in this weird crevice along the railing to our downstairs. So we have a split level. So when you first walk in, you go up a set of stairs into the living room area, or you could go down a set of stairs. So this chair fit in this little nook right where the railing is, and Declan had a tendency of climbing onto the chair and leaning over the railing to the steps that go downstairs, and it scared me half to death. I was scared to death he was going to fall down and severely hurt himself or worse. So I was like, you know what? We're going to just move this chair in here because I didn't want him to hurt himself. So that's why it's in here. So now we're taking off the little pieces of the smaller Legos to put the Duplo Lego sections in. Now, I had never switched this out before. My grandma had just given it to us maybe a month or so ago. So I was trying to figure out how they come off. Luckily, they just pop off. There's nothing really like to it. I didn't want to break it. That's what I was afraid of happening. Now, when I took off the smaller piece ones, they were stuck in there, but not too much. And then when I went to put the Duplo Lego pieces in there, they move a lot more. So I don't know if I did something wrong, because yeah, they moved a lot more, but I guess it doesn't really matter. So I just let them sit in there. I'm going to take the other Lego pieces that were in there and I'm going to clean them off because, you know, someday Roman or Declan will graduate to the smaller Lego blocks. So I'll wash them off and probably store them somewhere. So now all I really have to do in this clip, I should say, is to sweep. Now, I don't know why I did not do this, but I had a few things I had to pick up on the other side of my phone and my tripod. But for whatever reason, I did not pick up the tripod and phone and move it to the other side so you guys could see me do it. It wasn't a whole lot. The worst part of it all was this section. So I apologize for that. It was just a few things. Now we're going to put a few more things away. I'm going to grab this trash bag and put it next to the trash. And we're going to do a little reveal of how this all turned out. All right, here is the finished Playroom Declutter. It looks so much better. So much more space, just way less overwhelming. We don't have that overwhelming feeling that we would have when we would walk in here. We, you know, still have all of their Nerf guns and, you know, the train stuff. I didn't do a whole lot of organizing with the train stuff because as soon as Declan gets home from school, he will be taking that back out. I've tried to organize it in the past and he just didn't care to keep it organized. So we've got some of the totes over here. You're going to see some spots that are missing a tote. Those are Declan's cars and monster trucks that he plays with every single time he is home. So they're in the living room currently all lined up. So we've got his little tricycle he likes to ride throughout the house when he's bored. And, you know, his trucks. Now these, it cracks me up. So these pieces, they are covers to old, like blinds. The boys use them as ramps. So I didn't get rid of them because they do actually use them. So I've got those, and then, you know, all of their toys that they're keeping. There's just, I'm not sure if you guys can tell compared to what it looked like at the beginning in the part 1 of the playroom, but there's just so much more space. And we have quite a few of these totes. Oh, stuck on something, that are empty too. So I am going to deep clean them eventually. I just wanted to get the playroom finished up since I was already up here. And then I want to get back down into the basement, which is what we will work on next week. So a lot more space. The nuggets are over there. I can actually walk through here. It's amazing. And then we've got, so this is, what did Roman name him? Spot. And this is Biggie. They are the boys' wrestling companions. They like to take the nuggets out and just practice WWE moves with them. So that's why they're hanging out in here. They actually have a space now, so that's lovely. Now, you'll probably remember this cabinet from my kitchen declutter since I had a bunch of cups in there. It is still empty, so I'm not quite sure what we'll do with it. We probably have enough space to move the TV onto the top of this cabinet. I just don't know angle-wise if it would work for the boys to actually watch it. So we'll kind of debate and see what we want to do there. So let's close this bad boy. Now this is the cabinet that I decluttered in this video. Once I move this out of the way. Not a whole lot in here. Like I had mentioned, we're going to keep this one more for storage for things we don't use on a regular basis. But I'll go ahead and open it up and show you. We've got Roman's old communication device down there. This is just holding old electronics that will eventually be taken to the recycling place. There's like an I can't talk. An electronic recycling place here in town. But when I do my desk, I know I'm going to have a lot more. So I'm just kind of storing it in there for now. And then we'll come over to the not video games, the board games. Oh, let me unlock it for you guys here. And everything is nice and neat. It looks great. We can actually kind of see the games that we have. They're not tucked away. So the boys have 5 days off, I think, from school. So I'm going to be doing some board games with the boys. I might not be a fan of it, but Roman is. So I'll play on, oh my goodness, can't talk today, guys. I'll play some games with him. So it looks just, I can actually breathe in this room. That might sound funny, but I would see this room and have so much anxiety. And it was almost like a claustrophobic feeling because there was just so much. So yeah, and for those who have seen my kitchen declutter, I'll kind of show you a quick update on, I still don't have clutter up there. My kitchen's a mess, so I'm not gonna go in the kitchen. But these two places were the places that I would always put stuff and clutter it, but it's looking good so far. And we're at like a month and a half. So kind of going random, you know, I'm veering a little bit there, but yeah, so much better. If this video was inspirational to you, please be sure to smash that like button. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you guys are working on this week, and subscribe, and we will see you guys next week. We're going to be back down in the basement now that everything from the consignment sales stuff is out of there, so we can continue to declutter down there. So we'll see you next week. Bye, guys.